Morning to you, the GIC viewers and listeners within and beyond the borders of the Republic of Namibia, and a very warm welcome to your Monday morning edition of the Public Enterprises Information Sharing Session, coming to you live from the Government Information Center studio with me, Helene Felipos Hamunyela. For this morning's edition, I am joined in the studio by the CEO of the Namibia Qualifications Authority, Ms. Harmony Beekes, and she's here to educate the Namibian nation on the importance of studying at accredited institutions. But before I can officially welcome her to the GIC, I'd like to pause here and invite you, Namibia, to be part of this discussion by following the conversation on our social platforms where we are currently streaming this show live. On Facebook, we are at Ministry of Information and Communications Technology, or if you are a YouTuber, you can stream us live, and we are at MICT Namibia. Be part of this discussion by posting your comments in the comment sections on all our social media platforms, and get your feedback from Ms. Beekes in studio with me. Now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please help me welcome our studio guest for this morning, Ms. Harmony Beekes, the CEO of the Namibia Qualifications Authority. Ms. Beekes, good morning and welcome to the GIC.
Good morning, Eleni. Good morning, Namibia. And thank you for having me.
All right. Now, Ms. Beekes, for the benefit of our viewers and listeners, I'd like to find out who is the Namibia Qualifications Authority, when was it established, and what then necessitated the establishment of this institution?
Well, thank you, Eleni. Thank you for the question. And the Namibia Qualifications Authority is a statutory body established by an Act of Parliament, Act 29 of 1996. What necessitated the establishment of this institution was, if you look at the year of establishment, which was 96, 6 years after our independence, during the liberation struggle, a number of Namibians obtained qualifications in foreign systems, those who assisted us to have our people educated, you know, which I see today as a great wisdom of our leaders of the day, in the essence that where do you start? All these people are returning with different qualifications from different systems, different destinations, and all these systems in which the studies took place differed with regards to how it compared to our own system, whether we had anything in place, and that needed us to come up with standards for comparability of qualifications. And the first establishment of the NQA in 1996 mandated the NQA to establish a national qualifications framework.
Okay.
The national qualifications framework is inclusive of a number of standards for every type of qualification, and this is then used when we do comparison of qualifications if we receive any from any system. Then also the NQA was established to accredit institutions. You know, the institutions can only be recognized, the awards that they are offering, if they are accredited and they have met the standards of education and training. And these are globally benchmark standards that was then contextualized for use in our own system. So what established the NQA is this act with the number of mandates, standard setting, accreditation, and then recognition of qualifications, and then to be a forum for all matters pertaining to qualifications. Yeah.
Right. I love the way you put it. Now, for interest's sake, or for somebody that is viewing right now and is keen to know, what exactly then is the importance of accreditation of higher institutions of higher learning, or training provider, why is it important for potential students to enroll in institutions that are registered or accredited?
Irene, thank you. Allow me to give a bit of a background around accreditation. Accreditation originated, basically quality assurance of education originated in the USA with a group of universities, with the massification of higher education, coming to realization that we are all offering qualifications, but what does it align to? Does it meet the needs of the customer? And like with general quality assurance principles, qualifications also need to meet certain requirements of quality. And quality, when you look at the broader principles of quality, it looks at fitness for purpose, it looks at the relevance of any product, and we see education and training almost like a product. And then when it is now, this commodity is now offered to any customer for use, that customer needs to get value for money. And that is where quality assurance became really relevant and more critical for education and training. And all education and training providers then agreed that we need to come up with some common standards. And then based on these common standards that were then adopted in the US, as you know, as a forerunner of QA, then it gradually became a norm in all education, industry. And so basically all over the world, people started adopting quality assurance standards for education and training. And then these are the standards that are now applied through accreditation. Accreditation is basically the certification that a training provider have met the standards of quality for education that they are offering. And there's a number of standards that they need to uphold. And these standards are basically the curriculum development. That whole process is assessed to see, was the consultation done with the relevant stakeholders to ensure that they have given input, meaningful input, and then also these qualifications that we are coming up with, does it serve a purpose? And if that purpose that we claim it serves, we also want to see that it does meet the need of the customer. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad to actually learn. It's a learning process. I, for once, am a scholar too, so this session would really guide me greatly. Now, Ms. Beekers, away from that, I would like to know, can a student perhaps enroll at an accredited institution and recognizing qualifications internationally, what challenges do you then face as the Namibia Qualifications Authority the question is, can a student enroll at an accredited institution for a qualification that is not accredited internationally? And if that is the case, what are the risks and consequences of enrolling at unaccredited institutions for an unaccredited qualification?
Yeah. Thank you, Irene.
Sorry, it's a little bit of a mouthful, but yeah.
Yeah. No, that's also, yes, indeed a mouthful, but also a reality that we do face. Most of the time, as with any, product, once that assurance was granted, then, of course, if anything changes along the way, question around the, assurance comes up again. Is it still valid? Did it address the needs and so on? However, with a quality assurance of an institution, that is now where we look at the institution, does it have the capacity to offer a specific qualification? Now, our institutions of higher learning that are offering quality assured qualifications, they always come up with new programs. As they also identify new needs, they come up with new programs. Now, most of the time, when a program is just developed, they still have to put a few things in place to apply for the accreditation. And that is now where sometimes you will find a student enrolling in an unaccredited qualification because it has not yet been submitted for the formal accreditation process. So it can be an accredited provider that is offering an unaccredited qualification. And we see it a lot with our well-known bigger universities. Yeah, but our biggest challenge is not so much with those qualifications that come from accredited providers. Our biggest challenge is the ones that come from unaccredited providers. Because if you look at it this way, it's two sets of standards that you meet. The one is the program accreditation or the qualification, and then the other is the institution. If the institution have not yet been assessed formally to assure that they do have the right staff and facilities and all these things, then it is very difficult to say to a student, you can enroll with a new upcoming program, because the student then faces the challenge that it's even an unaccredited institution. So immediately when someone sees the name, they start asking questions. And that is where our biggest challenge is at the moment. Unfortunately, in our system, we have registration of institutions of higher learning. So institutions of higher learning need to first of all register with BIPA. It's your first point of departure to operate a business. Then you need to register with the Higher Education Council, which will then allow you to start operations as an education provider. Then after that operation has started, you need to apply for accreditation. Now the accreditation part is the quality assurance part. So that is the unfortunate process that they need to follow. The problem is when someone along the way decides not to apply for the accreditation, it's where the biggest challenge is. So by the time a student exits the system and they don't have a recognized, accredited award, then it can't be recognized. That's where the biggest challenge is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we are saying is that there are instances where an institution is either accredited, but they can offer a qualification that is not accredited. But we also have institutions that are not accredited, and to that effect, their qualifications that they are offering may not necessarily be accredited too. Or can we have, because I think it only makes sense that if an institution is not accredited, they may probably not meet the standards, and to that effect, the qualifications they offer may not be accredited.
Yes. What I would like to say there is the risk is much higher if the institution have never applied for accreditation, because nobody have ever vetted their systems to say it is meeting some of the standards or at least 50% of the standards, because that's what the accreditation process looks at. It looks at different sets standards, then it says it gives feedback to anyone. You see, quality assurance is not really to put someone out of business.
Right.
It's for the purpose of improvement of the process, it's improvement of your entire product, improvement of your business as a whole. So our providers have to look at it from that end, not to say NQA wants to come and shut my doors. It's not what we want to do. We want to help you to understand where you still lack on different standards, and where you can improve, put up mechanisms to improve. It happens on a 3-year cycle. So accreditation happens on a 3-year cycle, yes. So every 3 years, you are reviewed again.
Okay.
So we give you new recommendations. If you have addressed the previous recommendations, you can now address new recommendations. Now the challenge is an institution that have never been looked at. That's where our biggest risk is, because we don't know what the staff, the trainers' qualifications look like. We are not aware if those trainers are, qualified to train. And yet they are now imparting knowledge on our students. And that's where our biggest challenge is. Our currently accredited providers, they have passed the system. They have shortcomings as per your process. You will always identify areas for further improvement. And as they come up with new programs, they may have certain parts not in place. So then you always tell them that, okay, next time when we come, we want to see the following in place for your students. Okay. So those are the recommendations and that is why the process is not, you are not accredited once and then you are accredited forever. It's a continuous process. We come back every 3 years and we review. We also want to make sure do you still meet the standard.
Right.
Because that's another thing. Someone can meet the standard today, and in a few 2 years or so, then something goes wrong on your governance structure, or something goes wrong on your financial side, and that starts impacting your quality. So we really want our providers and even the general public to understand that quality assurance is a continuous process, and the NQA have to go back every 3 years to go and review even existing programs.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Beckers, for that information. I would like to know, for interest's sake, the NKA's role in accrediting institutions and recognizing qualifications internationally. What challenges do you face in so doing and in ensuring that Namibian qualifications are competitive on a global stage? Because, of course, as you earlier alluded to, if it is difficult, if you are experiencing bottlenecks locally, imagine globally. Yes.
Yes.
So perhaps what are some of those challenges that you experience to assess or in recognizing qualifications that were attained internationally?
Yeah. Thank you, Eleni. Yes, that is also one of the mandates of the NQA to recognize qualifications. And the qualifications recognition is mostly on foreign qualifications. Now, our foreign qualifications originate from another system entirely. So what happens is we can only recognize the qualification if we can access information from that system.
Right.
So we are very highly reliant on information from our sister organizations that are also doing quality assurance in the country of origin. Our regulations state that a qualification may be recognized by NQA if it is quality assured by a recognized quality assurance body in the country of origin. Now this one is a bit tricky because in the country of origin means where the qualification is originating. So we do find now claims that certain bodies claim they are global quality assurance bodies. That is one of the areas where we experience a lot of challenges because a global quality assurance is a bit concerning because they want to quality assure everywhere.
There's a lot of ambiguity.
Yeah,
also.
yeah.
Yes.
And that is one thing that we have to make sure of. And then our regulations goes a step further in defining a quality assurance body, a recognized quality assurance body. It states that a recognized quality assurance body is a body with similar functions to that of the NQA. And if you look at our mandate, we are established by our government to take care of quality assurance in our education system. Now, if you find this global quality assurance networks and so on, you go and look at their mandate or whatever legislation establishes them, then you find out it's a group of people that came together, put up an association, and they call themselves a global, say, quality assurance or accreditation body, just an example. And now this global accreditation body has no legal mandate establishing them. They were not set up under any country's system. And you see, these are some of the challenges we experience where we really have to have, we need to have networks, and we rely heavily on these networks.
Right.
And we have to invest in these networks. We have to come up with MOUs with countries where, say, a number of our students go to a specific country, and we know these students will be returning to our system.
Right.
Then we have to have networks with those countries so that we can have a network of engagement where we can easily engage them to get information. Also, we share and we subscribe to different databases, global databases, where we share information around qualifications, the types of awards that come from different systems, what they should look like, the security features of qualifications. You see, this is also a big one, because we need to look at validity as well.
Yes.
Also, what have become very prominent due to fraudulent qualifications is that we needed to establish as qualification authorities, networks for verification. So now we have direct networks with certain awarding bodies, and those countries where they have one national verification body, then we also have to, have networks with them so that we can always communicate, open channels of communication to allow us to reduce the time it takes us to verify a qualification.
Absolutely.
That is our biggest challenge. Our clients pay for the service.
Absolutely.
And we cannot issue any outcome from our office if we have not verified the authenticity.
Okay.
So that is one. And then also the comparability of qualifications. That's another one that also gives us some challenges at times. Reason being, you will find that Namibia has a 10-level framework, qualifications framework. And then you have countries with a 6-level and an 8-level framework. Now, those countries, they have placed or pegged their qualifications at a different level. So what we have to do, we have to get information about their system. Then from that end, we need to understand where did that qualification fit in that system.
Right.
And then we need to compare it to our system. So it's like we have to come up again with, some frameworks that we can use internally to guide our processes.
Okay.
And we can never, we have also picked up that the general public has this view that NQA is downgrading my qualification, or NQA is, they claim a lot. NQA is downgrading my qualification because it's coming from Europe. I'm using an example. And therefore the European system is so more advanced. They will tell us those things.
Yeah.
It's advanced and therefore you are downgrading my qualification. It is not the case. We work strictly with standards. So these are benchmark standards. NQA cannot say to a qualification, this qualification is at this level, and we put it at a much higher level than the rest of our counterparts are doing. Because then immediately our evaluation outcome becomes questionable in the first place. They will ask, what happened here? Why are they placing it at this level? We don't have evidence to back our outcome.
Right.
So really, I think if the public can also just understand that these are not these outcomes that we provide are not just based on feelings. It is based on standards, benchmark standards, and we align closely with our counterparts. We always check with each other. You know, we have those networks also where we just share information, and I think that also assists us to, understand what is it that we are looking at.
Absolutely, and to acquaint yourself with other systems elsewhere as well. Okay, now that brings me to as you were busy responding to that, I couldn't help but think. For example, in South Africa, you have soccer. I wanted to find out, and sometimes for them, it would take longer, like they would say it's 3 months, but you would apply for it maybe in August. And I'm giving a personal example where you apply for a qualification verification maybe in August, and then they will only respond somewhere in January. And you would think, okay, but it was 3 months. But I can now understand it is because of the verification process and, acquainting yourself with the systems and all that. But I know, I trust that as a country, we are doing better as opposed to really stretching from 3 months to maybe 5 or 6. I hope we are doing better in that regard.
Yes, thank you, Eleni. I think I can confirm we have certain systems where we are challenged, but those who have established systems in their country of origin that is established in order to respond to verification requests, because we send out a request, and then if that country is established in how to respond to those requests, then we don't experience challenges, because we have, as I said earlier, we have made it a deliberate effort from our side to put up networks so that we have contacts at every system that we, operate with, so that we can always reach out. Even if we don't get a response, we work through the embassies.
Right.
We go the extra mile to get a connection, so that sometimes it's also a challenge of the country system, like they cannot release any response without it going through the notary office, or there are those challenges that we do also experience. So for us, we really have to be mindful of the differences in our systems. But what I can say is really, we don't even, I think it's very rare that we go to 3 months. If we do, it's because of a challenge with getting or securing that information. It's the only reason that we will be challenged. But if we receive information, our process, I can confirm we are up to date. With the exception of verifications that delay. But other than that, all our applications we are up to date.
Okay. Now, for a student that is perhaps, or somebody who is sitting and watching now and is probably wondering, what is the process like from when I submit my qualification for verification at the NQA? Who do they contact at the others? Who are the stakeholders involved? Maybe that would even help them, understand the type of service that they receive. It's not just that we took longer to respond, but we had so much work to do and processes to acquaint ourselves with. Maybe if you can just please briefly take us through.
Yes, thank you, Eleni. Well, from the application date, our approved timeline is 30 working days as per our regulatory approved timeline. However, we have of late, we have seen that it is below that.
Okay.
And as I've indicated is that the first thing that we do when we receive the qualification application, especially if it is hand-delivered at our office,
Okay.
we do the verification there on site.
Okay.
We will even ask the client whatever is needed there, and the client have a chance to, update the application before the end of that day and submit a full, complete application,
Okay.
or even the next day. But as soon as the application is submitted, then our process starts and it's a complete application. The first thing we give to the client on receival of an application is that acknowledgement to say we have received your application.
Right.
And we are starting our process now.
Okay.
And with that acknowledgement, the foreign qualifications will all our qualifications, you will receive the verification request
Okay.
that you need to email to your institution where you studied.
Right.
NQA does not email it to the institution.
Okay.
There are also reasons for that. In the USA, they've got the Families Act of 1870 something that protects information
Okay.
to being issued to a third party.
Right.
So therefore, all the US universities, for example, the student have to request the verification. They have a process in place. They send it to us. They don't send it to the student. The student just submits the request. Then the request is then responded to by the institution directly to the institution that requires the information, which is now the NQA.
Okay.
And that is the process for all the other systems as well.
Okay.
Because if you look at South Africa, our neighbor, they've got the POPI Act. They are not allowed to issue information to a third party
party,
without the permission of the student. And that's why the student is the one requesting and saying on that request that you must please kindly send it to
Okay, I
NQA.
see.
Then they will be able to send it without any, legal implications for them.
Okay.
And then they will release the information to us. So usually, once we receive, we record the application. It's in our system. Then the student once the verification comes in, the student might be informed by the institution. It depends on what process they have in place, or it will just come directly to us and we'll start working on the application. Then we will note what the verification is confirming, because the verification will either confirm, yes, we have awarded this qualification to this person on this day, and proof of it, and then that's where we will now start to process the application, because then the legitimacy of the qualification,
been
authenticity is
authenticated.
confirmed. Then because qualification is not always new to us.
Right.
We do have a database, an internal database, where qualifications that have been previously evaluated already exist. So it's
Okay.
not going to be the first time that we receive that
Right.
that qualification on our desk. It might take us a day with the comparability, because we do have
You will not be reinventing the wheel.
Yes. What we will do there, we will only check out if anything changed in the meantime.
Okay.
Because there's a few things that can change. A qualification, the status, accreditation status can change.
Right.
So we need to check if it's still within the valid period. Then also what can happen, in some instances we have realized that a qualification was awarded at a certain level, and then after a year or two, the country decides to change the level of that
Right.
qualification, and then they phase out that group and then they introduce the new. So we always have to be alert on dates. Dates is very important for us when we look at that.
Okay. All right. Well, there you had it, Namibia. If you are just tuning in, you are tuned into the Public Enterprises Information Sharing Session for this Monday edition. I am your host, Helene Samunyela, and as earlier mentioned, I am joined in the studio by Ms. Harmony Beekes. She is the CEO of the Namibia Qualifications Authority. Now, you too can be part of this discussion by following this conversation on our social media platforms, where we are currently streaming this show live. On Facebook, we are at Ministry of Information and Communications Technology, or you can stream us live on our YouTube channel, and our handle there is MICT Namibia. I'm keen to hear from you as to what questions you have for my studio guest this morning, Ms. Harmony Beekes, the CEO of the Namibia Qualifications Authority. Now, back to our questions, Ms. Beekes. I'd like to find out, Are there perhaps specific fields of industries that you've found that are more affected by the unaccredited qualifications? And for this, I want to emphasize on how does perhaps the NQA ensure that the qualifications in Namibia remain relevant to the country's evolving economic landscapes, and particularly with the growth of the sectors like the renewable energy?
Thank you, Eleni, for the question. Yeah, there's a number of fields that are affected. What we have come to realize is those who are, coming up with new programs and being very innovative, even coming up with fraudulent qualifications, they are in touch with the market. They are very advanced. So what we are picking up of late with the emerging markets that you've referred to, the renewable energies, green hydrogen, and all these
clean
related, and also AI, for example.
Yeah, yes.
That's a new one. You see, everyone is now offering training on AI, and it's becoming more prominent. You can see it every day in the adverts. And then when you look at these institutions, they are not accredited. So I think oil and gas is also another one.
Yes.
I think for us as a country, we have picked it up. We've realized that, you see, the other thing is also online education.
Yes.
Online delivery is one platform that people should always tread with caution. What we are picking up is that a number of providers are coming up as online providers. Not that we say online education should not be recognized.
Right.
We do know that there are some online education providers that are quality assured, that have met the standards, and they've got good systems in place.
Right.
The challenge is because of the technology that is available, you can sit anywhere and you can open an online university, for example.
Right.
And then you can now offer these fields of studies that are so interesting to the market. Of course, because if and one thing we must look out for is, as of late, because Namibia is now identified as a country with oil and gas,
Right.
people have also looked at us and said, we can come and we can infiltrate the education system with some courses. Some are saying they're offering it online completely. Others are saying we'll join your system and we'll start offering these qualifications in your system. The challenge here is, I think, I just want to ask the public to be mindful of the role that the NQA play. Please always reach out to the NQA. You have this free service at your disposal. The reason why the NQA verifies and offers a free service of verifying the authenticity of any qualification is to protect our general public.
Right.
Because we know and we have seen that globally, it's not only Namibia that struggles with it, but it's a global phenomenon that online providers, some are offering, they are actually operating as a degree mill. A degree mill, we refer to it, you remember in the olden days where a mill would just be producing and it will just come out, and that's how it is, how we see it. We call them degree mills when we refer to them in our language. Then a degree mill is an institution that is just offering qualifications. Now, what we have picked up, some general things that we see. If you pick up that an institution is advertising that you can have a degree in 10 days or your bachelor's degree, and they will convert your life experience, and they even show you how the degree will look, and they say just pay this amount and your name will be printed on this certificate, this is how it looks, then you must already know. If something is too good to be true, it is too good to be true.
Questionable.
Rather immediately ask the NQA, do you know this institution?
Absolutely.
Do you know this qualification? Because sometimes the other thing is that we are aware of. Degree mills usually use names that are so close to the original institution that is quality assured.
Right.
So you will find, let's say, Oxford University. Then you will find one that calls themselves Oxford something. You will be confused because you will immediately think Oxford University, and you'll think, but it's a well-known. Even Yale and all these universities that are well-known universities, but they'll find like Stanford University. Then they'll have a name that is very close to Stanford.
Maybe
They'll
Stanford.
just change something small in the title of that institution.
Yes.
That's where we have the exact names. We deal with exact detail. So we even go to the extent, you see, our work is very interesting. Investigation is a critical skill that we need to have.
Yes.
So we even go to the extent where we verify the address of this institution.
Right.
Where are they originating? Then we will find that they are in Hawaii, sitting somewhere in Hawaii.
India.
And then they are now just offering these qualifications all over. It has become so critical. I'm seeing of late that people are circulating. We find these emails in our inbox that says you can come and attend a training somewhere.
Yes.
And
yes.
and it's interesting, I picked it up that they will say you can come for a training in Botswana. It's just an example.
Yes.
But that institution is most probably not even in Botswana.
It isn't.
Because at the address, banking details, where you have to make the payment, it's now where you will
a
pick up that
different
this institution is somewhere in Kenya or in totally another different system. Not even in Botswana, but the workshop will be in Botswana. So there's a lot of critical elements that one needs to consider. So my advice is to the public, always consult the NQA. Let us do that work for you. Let us do the research for you to come back and confirm, because we have access to the systems. We have the tools in-house. We have an eager team that is willing to solve the case for you. So just give it to us and let us do the verifications for you, and then we can revert to you and say, within 7 working days. That's our timeline, but I think we go to 3 days now and then. It might even be 5 days where we wait for information a little bit, but 7 days, that's what the target that we put, but we don't really go beyond 7 days.
Right.
If we do, it's only when we are, delayed with information. But if we can verify the status, we sometimes respond within a day. So before you pay the money, before you enroll into something that you will regret after a while, just take, because they also do this. They will tell the client, Eleni, please
The space
kindly
is up.
do the payment within 48 hours,
The
otherwise
space
the
is up.
scholarship will lapse. Especially with scholarships,
Absolutely.
they
I think I've come
confuse.
across that as
Oh, that is one thing. And they will tell you, if you do the payment now, you'll have this discount. And you won't qualify for the discount. So now people rush because it's 48 hours.
The spaces are limited.
Yes, that's what they do. But I can assure you, if you come back next week, you'll still find the same wording there.
Absolutely.
So please take the time to share, to check with us. We really want to help our people, not to waste. You see, for me, the biggest thing about accreditation and studying for something that is unaccredited is not it is the fact that it's not going to be recognized. But I say,
Time.
we Namibians, we need education. It's definitely much needed. However, we must not become so desperate that we waste our time on something that is not going to bring any value to us and our resources, which is so limited. I always say to people, I'm very passionate about this. The reason is because I look at our parents who are paying these studies for their children.
Yeah.
You see, when they
Fly
talk
by
at
night.
home, when we talk as a family at home, you hear, no, this cousin is now studying this course,
It's way well.
and the excitement with which the mother is telling, but also at the same time mentioning that they are really struggling to pay this course. Then I just feel so sorry for a parent to lose that money. And then that young person,
Whose time and
the
effort-
time,
Wasted.
and also, the demotivation that the person will experience after finding out it's not quality assured, that emotional impact it has on a student.
Absolutely.
And that for me is something that I say we must guard our people against that. And that's what our team is for. We are eager to guard our people against that.
And we appreciate your team very much
Thank
for
you.
that. Now, Ms. Bierkes, away from that, I'd like to know, what is the national qualifications framework, and why is it important for Namibia?
Yes, thank you, Yeleni. The National Qualifications Framework, although our act establishing the NQA included it as a mandate in 1996, it was only then, the regulations were only formulated in 2006. And the reason for that is because it is now to guard and guide our entire qualification system. You see, in the past in Namibia, a person could offer a 3-day qualification and call it a diploma. There is no way that you can do it now with our framework.
3 days. Okay.
Because our framework clearly guides on the number of credits, the level of the qualification, other characteristics like what is required in a qualification, even naming of qualifications. In the past, people could name qualifications anything.
Right.
But with our NQF regulations, the framework provides for the naming of qualifications. And you need to name the qualifications in a way where if I walk with my qualification to another system, people must not find it difficult to establish what is this that I'm bringing here.
Right.
So even the naming of qualifications have been, described in the regulations setting up the NQF. But the National Qualifications Framework, I say, I always think back of where the NQA originated and our leaders and the visionary leadership of the day.
Right.
That was something for me to, admire. And many a time when we look at our historical background as a country, most of these, citizens that returned after being educated in other systems, when they returned, but when they left this country, they left with Standard 6, the Bantu
Yes.
education system.
Or maybe even lower.
Yeah, or maybe even lower because they had to drop out due to poverty and many other reasons. But then, when you think of it, when they returned, they had something.
Right.
But if you look at us today, we are struggling with many issues. But they thought already of 26, 25 years from now, this country must have,
Something
a
to
system.
hold on to.
And our people must know this is where you start, this is where you end. When you compare the Namibian qualification system to the rest of the world, then you can only start to understand how visionary these leaders were. And also, Namibia is one of the few countries in the world, 160 countries in the world have adopted a national qualifications framework. And we are one of the few that have adopted, small as we are.
So proud.
Small as we are. And I think, you see, that just put us on the right path. We do have many challenges as a system, but one thing I can say is that our education system is at least guided by clear standards for every type of qualification. Every type of qualification it's very clear. You cannot come today and just call anything a diploma or a certificate even.
No.
Even a certificate.
Yeah.
Because a certificate is a very small qualification. It can be made up with 40 credits only. But you can't just come and call anything a certificate. It has certain requirements. It must meet a certain level. And it must meet these credit requirements. And it must meet, the outcomes of learning. So we do have a system now that guides us. When we do training, as training providers, we can already say, I also want to say, a qualification is very important because a qualification describes the competency after learning have taken place.
Right.
You see, after learning have taken place and I'm certified, you are certifying to tell everyone that this person can do the following. Now, it doesn't describe how the learning should take place.
Right.
A qualification describes my competence after learning have taken place and after I have been certified as competent.
Certified as such.
Yes, that is what I can do. Now, it's clear for everyone. Because you see, if you have such chaos like we had in the past, where anyone can offer a 3-day training becomes a diploma. Now the employers are struggling to do, recognition and placement in the job market. But now that we have a system, we can clearly say, okay, a diploma is this. It's not less than a year,
Right.
because an academic year is 120 credits, and a diploma requires a minimum of 120 credits. So for us, a diploma is not less than an academic year. So no one will ever call 6 months a diploma again.
Never.
Because our system is standardized.
Right.
And that is so critical. I don't think I can explain all of it in detail, but what I can say is, if you have standards, you are building on something. And it becomes clear and anyone can use. And it's the same standard that is met by all our providers. So there's a lot of claims that, yes, but this provider is just taking anyone and so on. What we must also understand, this qualifications framework that we have is very flexible. It allows for different forms of learning. It also allows for different levels of learning to be in place. So say, for example, in our system today, we have a number of people who never completed, and I refer to our historical background, who never completed grade 12.
Right.
That is supposed to be the first exit of school. But then our system back then, they had different exits. The Bantu system had different exits.
Right.
Now this system, we still, you see, when you come up with a new system, you need to make provision for transition.
Absolutely.
Because you cannot just do away with the old
'Cause
and
what
just
will
bring in the
become of-
new.
Absolutely.
So our system is very flexible. It provides for different types of qualifications. It provides for different, pathways. So all that is provided
To
for in
cater
our
for,
framework, to
yes.
cater for our historical background as well. So I always say, our leaders of the day then were very visionary.
Indeed.
And although so many people, complain about the challenges, but you must imagine if you find a system with so much diversity in that system, and you have to bring everyone to the standards, it's not going to be an easy journey.
will
We are
never
now
be an easy
35 years into it, and I
Close to
think
that.
we are still struggling.
Yeah.
And I think what my dream is that in a few years from now, we will see that our system is entirely standardized. But as long as we have, the challenges that we inherited, still challenging our system to this day, I think we need to give it a bit more time just to see the impact of having a standardized system.
Okay.
But we do have challenges, other challenges as well.
Okay. But so are I know that, for one, you've also outdone yourself on the other part, so challenges will always be part of the journey, of course, but as long as we emerge out there to be at a better place than we were. Right. Now, Ms. Biekes, I'd like to find out, since the inception of the Namibia Qualifications Authority, for some time you were rendering these services for free, but I'm made to understand that the NQA has implemented fees now, or there is cost implication. Briefly talk to us about why it was necessary to consider these fees, considering the current economy that the country is experiencing.
Thank you, Yeleni. Yeah, that's always a difficult one. Nobody wants to talk about money,
Absolutely.
especially in the difficult economy that we're experiencing. Well, Yeleni, the NQA in its inception was provided for to be able to charge fees.
Okay.
And then in 2006, in our 2007, in our evaluation regulations, provided for to charge fees for the service.
Okay.
Because it is a very costly service. And
I can imagine.
yeah, and at that stage, it was, a decision taken by the institution not to introduce the charging of fees at that stage. Because we were still establishing our systems. And we said, let's see how it goes, And even our accreditation of institutions, the NQA, in fact, the taxpayer was carrying the cost of accreditation of institutions, and it's all institutions. So it was then, as a result of, as you go along with business, you assess and you see that this is not taking us where we want to be. Just like you said, you are making strides, but it's going much slower. You need to improve. You also need to, make sure that what you are giving to the public can, equate to that value that you are giving to them. The quality assurance. And quality assurance is a costly exercise. If you look at our accreditation of institutions, it's very, very costly. We have to hire external subject matter experts to come in and help us to assess the applications. We have to send our team. Our team, we can say they cover the country.
Right.
They travel and they have to go and do quality assurance wherever that institution is established.
Okay.
Now, all these costs are becoming really very significant on the institution, to the extent where at some point we had to ask ourselves the question, why are we not introducing the fees? Because it is provided for in our regulations.
Absolutely.
You know, our act and with the regulations were commenced in full. It was an internal decision to say, let's not introduce at this stage. Yes, the other thing is, you also ask yourself the question, the economy. And we understand the economy is really challenging. However, what we have picked up is that there will never be a perfect time for the economy to be 100% right for us to introduce the fees.
Right.
However, this is impacting the business and it's impacting the service delivery to the public. And really we had to take that decision to say, let's introduce the fees as they are gazetted. And you will see we have introduced it exactly as it is gazetted. We have not changed anything on the fees because we are taking into consideration the economy.
Okay.
And we remain with the fees as they are currently approved in the regulations. So we will look in the future if there is a need for us to, change and update. Inflation is something else. If you look at where we started, our current fee is 360 per application. But if you look at our counterparts, what they are already charging due to the inflationary increases that they've had.
5 times more than that.
And you see the way they can grow their system because they have the resources. For us, it was really very critical. There was a critical time in our institution's history, near history, where we almost had to stop work because of funds. And I think we don't want to do that.
No,
We don't want to take 10 steps back. We
When
have
we
come
are
this
ready,
far. And I think if it is possible and we can have a balanced approach to it, then it's possible for us to implement the fees, but also considering now the economy. And that's what we can say to the public. We are doing that. For us, it's not going to be, something that will add significantly to our, budget.
Yes.
But at least it will help us to sustain our business processes and help us not to come to a standstill of business delivery, service delivery to the people.
Indeed.
That we can't do.
Okay. Indeed, Ms. Bieckers, it's a very, it's a commendable job that you're doing there. And I know you've earlier alluded to foreign qualifications, but if I may, is it necessary for students who've studied at foreign institutions to submit their qualifications for accreditation or for evaluation at the Namibia Qualifications Authority? And why do you think that should be the case?
Thank you, Eleni. Yes, I will always advise, and I always say this to the public when they approach our office, the moment that you receive an award from whatever system, I will advise you to get your NQA evaluation urgently. Reason being that it is a process, as we've explained earlier. We still need to do the verification. And sometimes a person needs the answer already tomorrow. So my advice will be, please apply the moment that you graduate.
Right.
Why you need to apply? Because this application, once you receive your outcome, it adds an additional value. Look, it doesn't help for you to walk around with a US dollar here and nobody knows what is the value of that US dollar.
Absolutely.
It's always good for you to have that certificate that explains, it compares in this way to our own system. So when you approach a potential employer or you approach another university for higher education purposes, you will they will immediately be able to assist you. They will not first refer you back to the NQA. So my advice is always, once you are awarded your qualification and it's possible for you to come and apply, please do so. Do so as a matter of urgency after graduation. Then once you have your evaluation outcome, you keep it. You always make a certified copy that you attach to all your applications, whatever application you are doing. It is also very critical if you want to immigrate to a system for, further studies or whatever purposes.
Yes.
Then you need to get a visa. Then they will ask you, what is your evaluation from NQA? So NQA evaluation is very critical. But you know, employers also have a certain appreciation when you apply and you already have your evaluation, because they can see that you understand the processes
And you're
you are
proactive.
aware what is around you, what you need to have.
Right.
They put it in their adverts sometimes. Some employers don't. And once you are now in the process, then they ask you, then you are delayed or you miss opportunities. So please do apply when you graduate so that you don't miss any opportunities.
To have it ready when,
Have it ready.
when necessary.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Now, Ms. Beekes, I'd like to find out, are there perhaps institutions or colleges globally that offer courses locally, that partner up with institutions locally to offer courses here? And are these qualifications then considered, is it foreign or is it local? Because we are saying that it's an institution that is abroad, that has partnered or franchised with a local institution to offer those qualifications. What do we regard those as? Are they foreign qualifications or are they locally, because they are locally sourced?
Thank you, Eleni. Yes, how we regard them, it depends on the awarding body.
Okay.
So if the awarding body is foreign awarding body, meaning it originates in another country, and the award is coming from that body, then that body is seen as a foreign, that qualification is seen as a foreign qualification. And most of the time, when institutions partner, we look into the partnership. So this institution, say for example, you partner with one of our universities or one of our institutions, we do look at that qualification as foreign, but our local provider also still needs to make sure that they consult with the NQA, because you cannot just bring any foreign qualification without proper consultations. Reason for that is, if the awarding body in the country of origin does not have permission to offer the qualification outside the borders of that country, then it becomes a concern when it comes to certification, because then they are not allowed to certify our students outside. We have picked up on such challenges.
Okay.
Where an awarding body is not permitted to offer that qualification outside the borders, yet they've established a center here in Namibia, or they've hired a consultant to help them recruit students. So those are the things that I said earlier. Inform the NQA, consult the NQA. If you consult the NQA, give the information. You must tell us, I went to a consultant here, and this consultant in Windhoek told me I will be studying this qualification through that institution in that country. Then we start picking up, because we know there are those institutions who come and they just appoint a consultant. The consultant is doing all the recruitment. This institution is not allowed to offer part-time qualifications, distance qualifications. They are only allowed for full-time in their own system. Then they just start taking other modes of delivery as their own, and they start doing it. We must understand that qualifications is really a very highly valued commercial commodity. Although education in itself is a very social responsibility that governments take upon themselves, but for business or training institutions, it's about business.
Right.
The more they can award to students, and especially if they can commercialize it and take it out of their borders, it's also something that they look for. So what we will advise is that in cases where an institution wants to partner, they need to consult the NQA as well.
Okay.
And our public, when they pick up there's some foreign relation, verify with the NQA. Let us be involved, let us verify. Because sometimes we go to that extent to see this institution, they are offering this course now online. Are they permitted to offer it online?
Online.
Because the mode is not approved, then we tell you no. We are not going to recognize
Because
it.
it's not.
So before you enroll, we can warn you,
Okay.
and we can give you that information. The challenge is, I think we do have, we do still have a lot of need, and I just want to come in here to say it's not only that people see business opportunity, but also that because we have such a high need, some locals will come up and they'll give the idea, can you bring this qualification because we don't have enough institutions offering. So access to education is still a big challenge. But I think we shouldn't lose sight of, quality just because we want to open up access.
Right.
So I think as a country, we must balance the two. So access is still a big challenge because our universities, let's take for example, I want to use the example of medical qualifications. Our university that is currently offering medical qualifications, they can only take in a certain number of students per annum.
Right.
And we have a number of students completing high school that wants to go into the medical field. Not only medicine, but there's other fields related that are not on offer in our system.
Yes.
Now they start looking around. Now you find people that say, no, but you can study medicine with this institution, online, and so on. And that's where we need to be mindful that qualifications, be it foreign or be it local, they also need to meet the standards of the regulator.
Okay.
Not only the NQA as a regulator, but also the professional bodies. So any qualification, I think one of our professional bodies have put out that they do not accept 100% online qualifications. So they've indicated that for this profession, if you need to practice, you cannot study 100% online.
Absolutely
You
not.
need to have not more than 50% of the content coverage online. The rest must be physical coverage.
Absolutely.
So basically, that tells you that even a mode of study can play a role or impact on recognition. So that is why we advise that the public must take note that because you don't always know all these loopholes, it's better to consult the NQA so that we can look into it and then provide the information.
It's a matter of a phone call.
Yes, it's a matter of a phone call. Drop us an email.
Yeah.
We'll sort it out. We try to, do that within 7 days.
Absolutely. No, thank you, Ms. Beekes. We are slowly but surely coming to the end of our discussion, but I would like to find out, how do students then verify accreditation statuses of an institution that is, of an institution and its qualifications in Namibia?
Yes, thank you, Yeleni. Yes, the Namibia Qualifications Authority offers a service where we call it our advisory service. We basically have a form. It's a one-page form. It includes a bit of personal information because we need to know this response that we prepare. For whom is this response? These responses are used now. It has become very famous, this service.
Okay.
But what I can say is we offer this service with a one-page form that you complete and you request. We have the personal information, and then we have the second part that you complete on the form is the institution and the qualification that you want us to verify. I think the institution, country of origin, and then the qualification title. Then we go out and we do our search. Then we will prepare again a one-page response. And on this response, we will put your details, the person who have requested, and then also the institution and the qualification details, country of origin. We will confirm whether it is quality assured or not.
Okay.
Now, what this service enables is that students can, you can use this response from NQA to reassure yourself, first of all, that I can go for the studies. Also, the finance institutions, they use it because financial institutions, they always think of return on investment.
Right.
And they know if you are going to study for an unaccredited qualification, then they will not get return on investment. So they are not going to fund you if it's an unaccredited institution or qualification. Even if just the qualification is unaccredited, it can be one of the best universities. But if that qualification is not quality assured, they know that there's no return on investment because you won't be able to use the qualification after studies. So now they will require this letter from you when you apply for funding. You will also need this letter when you apply for study visas to enter any system. They want to see, are you coming to study at an accredited institution? And then only will they issue you with a visa. So you need to have this in place. I know that even your own money, you will not access it without this letter. I know the High Court, for example, they fund through the Guardian Fund students. And that fund, they also require this letter. So my advice is to the public, just think of it. why all these stakeholders are trying to protect you from an unaccredited institution.
Right.
But the first reassurance is for you, yourself, and your parents to know that my child will not go for 4 years without getting a qualification that is
Accredited.
recognized. So now, this service is available on our website. We have the form. You can fill it in, you mail it back to us. It's as simple as that.
Convenient.
Yeah, very convenient. We don't want you even to walk to our office or take a taxi there. We are saving you money. It's
Right.
online. It's available on our website. You download it, you complete it, you mail it back.
Okay.
There's not a lot of issues with it. The only thing we ask is, we do ask if students have a admission letter for the institution where they want to study.
Yes.
And we also ask an identity document. There's 2 reasons for this. This is a free service.
Absolutely.
So we also have those scenarios where the public is not serious when they request for a service. They fill in any name on that form. We have seen names that don't exist. It's not your legal name,
Yeah.
but you are filling in that
Unique
name.
name.
So now we prepare the letter on that name. Then you come back and you say, but I need the letter on this name.
Right.
And that's why we are asking for the identity document up front to know, is it this person, and we use that because it's an official communication. We also want to make sure that there's accuracy in the details on that letter.
Absolutely.
Then also, why we ask the admission letter, we have picked up that we are taking it a bit further. We have picked up that somehow there's also a lack of knowledge around what level do I qualify for. So we want the student to start from the start. You already identify a course, and then you start looking at entry requirements you submit. Admission letters are usually given to you by the institution for free.
Right.
They say you qualify for admission. Then now we want you to be serious about it, to say, do I want to go to this institution? Is it accredited? Before you make your final payments and things. So even provisional admission we accept. As long as what happens in admission is a very sensitive thing, because the university or the institution where you want to study, they will look at what learning is in place. Do you qualify to enter this program? So they will also, through that process, we are also trying to save the public some time.
Right.
Because then you already know, I don't qualify to do the master's degree because I don't have an undergraduate degree. And therefore the university already tell you, but you don't qualify for our master's program. Then you know, oh, I must start with the Bachelor of Science, not with the Masters of Science. So that's where we are trying to help also the public and streamline, what you apply for, what aligns on your admission.
Absolutely. Ms. Biekes, thank you so much for coming here this morning to educate us on the importance of enrolling at institutions that are accredited, whether here locally or abroad. It is really very much appreciated, and I'm sure most of this information that you've alluded to earlier here is also on your website.
Yes, thank you. Yes, all the information is on our website.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Biekes, for making time to come and educate us. We really very highly appreciate it.
Thank you, Yeleni. Thank you for having us. Thank you.
All right. Namibia, that was all the time we had for the discussion for this morning. Please do join us again next time when we bring you another fruitful discussion here at the GIC. From myself, Hileni Felipe Zamunyela, and the entire GIC production crew, until next time, take care.